With every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Imagine Donald Trump back in the White House, giving his victory speech as the 47th president. It's a reality that, well, a lot of people didn't think would happen. Welcome to QuickCasters.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised.
Where we kind of take a deep dive into these really fascinating topics.
Yeah.
And extract the insights you need.
And this one's a big one.
To navigate this world. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely. Let us know what you think about this unexpected turn of events.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments. What do you think?
Because it's definitely been a shock. I mean, a non-consecutive second term is not something you see every day in American history.
Yeah.
So his victory speech really offers a fascinating look into his vision for the future.
Yeah, and right from the start, like, he sets this tone of, America's about to enter this golden age. Like, he paints a picture of, a booming economy, secure borders, national pride.
It's interesting because he's weaving in these like familiar themes from his earlier campaigns into this new like narrative of victory.
Right.
The economy, immigration, Republican control, these are all things that, his base, they really respond to that.
He knows how to work a crowd. I mean, the energy in that room was palpable.
Oh, absolutely.
You could just feel it radiating from his supporters, like all their efforts had finally paid off.
And that's not an accident. That speech was very carefully put together to get that kind of reaction. He kept saying, historic, a victory for America, for the supporters. It's a powerful message. It really hits home for a lot of people.
And it wasn't just like these grand pronouncements. He took time to really acknowledge some key people.
Oh, yeah.
Elon Musk, Dana White, I mean, even Bryson DeChambeau, like, he was the U.S. Open champ. It's like he was building a team,
Right. He's aligning himself with success and innovation. Think about it, Musk, future of technology, White, determination, that grit. DeChambeau, American excellence in sports.
Smart.
It really reinforces his image, projects that idea of competence and vision.
Definitely. And then, did you catch that moment with Susie?
I did, yeah.
He calls her a new star and even makes a joke about Chris, her husband.
Yeah.
It was a short moment, but it showed a different side of Trump.
Yeah.
A little more personable.
Yeah, and I think that's important.
Playful, even.
Amidst all the rhetoric, he's trying to humanize himself.
Right.
Connect with the audience, reminding them that there's a man behind the politician.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, what did you think of that moment? Did it change your view of Trump at all? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Because he definitely seemed to be like balancing this strength with approachability. On one hand, he's talking about these common sense values, border security, strong military, but then he also makes it clear, like, he doesn't want to use force unless he absolutely has to.
It's a tough balance to strike, but he's doing it. He knows a lot of Americans are hesitant about getting involved in other countries' business.
Right.
So he's reassuring them. Military strength, he's saying, is about preventing things, not starting them.
Yeah. And he kept coming back to this theme of unity. Like, we need to put the country first.
Right.
End these divisions. But then when he talks about the media,
it gets a little less unified.
Yeah, there's definitely an us versus them vibe. Almost like, we need to be united, but only if you agree with me.
That's a key takeaway. The unity he's talking about is about getting behind his vision for America. If you disagree with his policies, you're kind of left out of that call for unity.
For sure. One of the most interesting things for me was his focus on health and the environment. Picking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head up a health initiative.
Yeah.
That's unexpected.
It is, and it's definitely raising some eyebrows. Kennedy brings name recognition. Credibility, especially with people who care about environmental health. It could make Trump appeal to a wider range of voters.
But then there's that moment where he tells Kennedy to stay away from the liquid gold, talking about oil and gas.
Right.
It was a funny moment, but it shows he's still committed to those traditional energy sources.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we can talk about clean energy, but oil and gas are still number one.
That's a sign that energy policy is going to be a big deal in his second term. He's sticking with fossil fuels, and he's saying that any environmental plans have to take the energy industry into account.
So we're seeing a blend of the old and the new. He's appealing to his base, But he's also trying to bring in new voters
Right.
by focusing on different issues, reaching out to different groups. It's a fascinating look into his strategy.
Yeah.
And we're just scratching the surface. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss the next part of our analysis. We're going to dig deeper into the policies he outlined and what they mean for America.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Stay tuned. Things are about to get really, really interesting. We were talking about, that balance Trump's trying to strike
Yeah.
between those familiar themes and some of the new things he's bringing to the table. So let's get into the specifics. He talked about reducing the national debt, lowering taxes. Sound familiar?
Oh, yeah, those are classics.
Right?
They really resonate with a lot of people. I mean, who doesn't want lower taxes, right?
Exactly.
And less debt. But the big question is, how is he going to do it? How is he going to make it work? Actually make it happen in a way that's effective, but also sustainable.
Especially with that other promise, the whole sealing up the borders thing, but also encouraging legal immigration. How do those two things work together?
Yeah, it's a tough one. He's trying to appeal to people who want stricter immigration, but he also knows we need people to come here to, help the economy grow. It's all about the details. How's he going to define legal immigration? What exactly is he going to do to seal up the borders? Those are the questions we need answers to.
Definitely. And then there's the whole thing about American manufacturing, bringing jobs back. He's been talking about that forever.
Yeah.
But how much can he really change? I mean, globalization's here to stay, right?
It's true that, the global economy is a complicated thing, but he could try to give American companies some incentives, like tax breaks, less regulations, maybe some specific investments. The question is, will that be enough to reverse those global trends?
Right. He also talked about infrastructure, saying that it's crumbling, needs a major overhaul. I think we'll see a big push for infrastructure spending in his second term.
It's definitely possible. Infrastructure is usually something both parties can agree on. It's an area where Trump might be able to work with Congress. And it creates jobs, helps the economy, fits in with his overall plan,
Okay, so healthcare, that was a big issue in his first term.
Yeah.
He didn't really give us much detail this time, just mentioned Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and making America healthy again. What do you think he's getting at?
Tough to say at this point. Kennedy's appointment, I think, suggests they'll be looking at preventative health, environmental factors, but what their actual policies will be, who knows?
Right.
Healthcare is a big, messy issue, lots of people involved. Any big changes, they're going to face some pushback.
He also mentioned, again, the peace through strength idea, the need for a strong military. Does this mean we're looking at a more aggressive foreign policy?
It's definitely a theme that's carried over from his first term. He talks about how he avoided big wars, but he also spent a lot more on the military. And he wasn't afraid to, be assertive on the world stage.
Right.
I think we'll probably see more of the same.
But he also talked about needing to stop wars. Said a strong military helps prevent conflict. Is he trying to have it both ways?
That's kind of the challenge with foreign policy, right? The idea is if you look strong, if you're ready to fight, other countries won't mess with you.
Right.
It's complicated, for sure. We'll have to wait and see how he handles all the, global challenges that come up.
He gave a shout out to Elon Musk, praised SpaceX's accomplishments. Could that mean he's going to focus more on space exploration, tech innovation?
Could be. Musk has been a Trump supporter. And his companies, SpaceX, Tesla, they've benefited from government contracts, regulations that work in their favor.
Right.
It's possible we'll see more collaboration between the Trump administration and the private sector.
Then there's his whole rant about the media, calling them the enemy, accusing them of bias.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see even more conflict with the press this time around.
Well, his relationship with the media has always been rocky, hasn't it?
Definitely.
And what he said definitely suggests he still doesn't trust mainstream media. It could make things even more divisive, make it even harder for people to get accurate information.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. He covered a lot of ground, but he also left a lot of questions unanswered. If you're on YouTube, let us know what you think. What really stood out to you? What are you hoping for or worried about when it comes to these specific policies?
Leave a comment, let's talk about it.
And join the conversation.
Hi.
So we've talked about what Trump's planning to do here at home. But what about the rest of the world? His victory speech a lot of people are wondering how America First is going to play out on the global stage.
Yeah, there's no question that his foreign policy, in his first term, it shook things up internationally.
For sure.
Trade wars, pulling out of agreements, it created a lot of uncertainty.
He wasn't afraid to make waves.
Yeah.
And his victory speech, it seems like he's still focused on, putting America's needs first, challenging the way things have always been done.
Yeah, the whole thing about strong borders, prioritizing American needs, it definitely points in that direction. But there are also some hints that maybe things will be a little different this time around.
Like when he praised Elon Musk and SpaceX, do you think that means he might rely more on private companies to advance American interests in other countries?
It's possible. He's shown he's open to working with the private sector in other areas, so maybe he'll apply that same thinking to foreign policy. It could mean a shift away from, traditional diplomacy, more of a focus on deals, a more business-like approach.
And what about China and Russia? How do you think his second term will affect those relationships?
That's the big question, isn't it? In the past, Trump's been critical of both countries, but he's also praised them. He's not afraid to challenge them, but he's also said he wants better relationships.
Sounds like we're in for another wild ride when it comes to foreign policy. A lot depends on how he balances America First with the fact that, the world's a pretty complicated place.
Exactly. The whole world's watching, and there's a lot at stake. The decisions he makes over the next few years, they're going to have a huge impact, not just on America, but on everyone.
This deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about. We've heard those familiar themes from his previous campaigns, but also some hints that maybe things will be different this time. We've talked about his plans for America, what it means for the economy, and all the uncertainties in the world. But now, we want to hear from you. What are your takeaways? What questions are you left with? Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our future deep dives into the topics that matter most. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep those brains buzzing.